health practitioner right now, I can almost guarantee that your number one challenge isn't what you do. It's finding your ideal patients consistently. It's consistent lead flow. And what I see over and over and over again is that you're either struggling to get patients in the door or you're relying on ads that feel more and more expensive and really unpredictable. Or you've got one main referral source. And if that dries up, guess what? That's not a marketing problem. That is a strategy problem. Because if your entire business depends on one channel, whether it's Facebook ads, a single referral partner, or even social media, you don't have a growth strategy, you have a risk. So today, I want to show you a different approach, one that's predictable, more personal, and honestly, a lot more powerful, and one I've used over the last 40 years to build several of my businesses. It's called Hyperlocal marketing. And this is about becoming the go-to trusted authority in your community. So patients don't just find you. They hear about you everywhere they already are. We're going to break down exactly what that looks like, how to do it, and how to create multiple streams of patient flow without relying on ads or a single source ever again. I've been hearing a lot in our groups that ads are not working anymore, that business is down. And of course, if you don't have the patients coming in, business will be down. So the easiest way to turn that around is really to focus local. In fact, what we call hyperlocal marketing. That means within an easy driving distance to your office. Sure, as you get known, people will come from all over the country, maybe all over the world. But the biggest source of leads is right nearby you. And often we tend to overlook them and start to look elsewhere. So in order to succeed at hyperlocal marketing, there's a couple things you need to know. First of all, you got to know who your ideal client avatar is. Who is that person? Who is your ideal patient? And I say this I keep using the word ideal for a reason. Number one, you get to choose. You want to work with people who you would love to work with, right? And I remember once asking someone who their ideal patient was, and they said someone with money. And I'm like, no, you want someone who is going to commit with time and money to get the results, and they will work hard. So those are the people you want. You know your ideal clients. And so the first thing you got to know is your audience and who they are, their demographics, their psychographics, everything about them. And then who shares them in your community? Where do they hang out? What are they buying? What are they doing? So that's the first piece of that. That is something we go deep into in our Build Your Brand Blueprint workshop. The next one is you got to know your offer. That key core foundational offer that is the transformational program that you bring people through. Remember, we always teach transformational programs where you buy results in advance. And then the third thing is you want to have a great lead gen tool. What the heck is that? A lead gen tool is something like an assessment, a cheat sheet, a guide, a webinar. We really love the guide. It's really a book, but it's a smaller book. It's something you could produce for 100, 150 pages. And we'll talk about your signature talk here. It's basically your signature talk put into a book. So a lot of the things that you will have or need to create will be used over and over and over again. And when I think of a lead gen, a great guide, the guide tells your story. It has some patient success stories. It shares the overview of your program, not how you do it, not all the steps, but just the overview so they can see that it's different from what they've already done, and they can see other people just like them having results. This could also turn into a video training series. That guide is the same as the webinar, so that really becomes the foundation. So those are the things that we've got to know to start with. We've got to know your basic brand. We call that your trusted authority. You need to know your foundational offer, and then you need to have some tool to bring them back onto your list. If you go speak somewhere and everyone goes, yay, great talk, and you have no way of capturing anybody, you didn't give them any kind of call to action, then the tree fell in the forest and nothing happened, right? So we want to always have a way to bring them back onto our list. Here's what's important. Your email list, think of it like your garden. And you've planted all sorts of different seeds in your garden. Some are going to bloom very quickly, but some might take, a year, 18 months. My son does a lot of gardening, and some of the things that he plants can take 18 months or longer. And some like carrots are pretty quick. So you're going to have things blooming at all different times. You've got to have them get into the garden, though. That's getting on the list. And the reality is, in our world, just because someone has said that they're interested in what you're doing, which is what a guide does, it identifies who's interested in what you're doing. It doesn't mean they're ready to make a decision right now. This is where how you connect and nurture them becomes important as well. But today we're really just focusing on how do we bring those people either onto our list or into our office right away. What are the different types of marketing tools that we can use to do that? That again, don't necessarily involve ads. And one of the first things that I like to do is find my local group of referral partners. Here's why this is so important. We are in a trust recession right now. You probably heard about this, where trust is down enormously. It's like what happened during the pandemic meets what's going on with AI, and people are like, they're not trusting. What's awesome about having referral partners is basically they're transferring their trust. So if someone has already bought into the local esthetician or hairdresser or realtor, and that realtor or hairdresser says, you got to go to Dr. So-and-so, they're transferring their trust over. It basically takes a cold lead who you're going to have to do all of these things to show them that you are who you say you are. It's going to take that cold lead and warm them right up. So I love to start with referral partners first. And what I look for are complementary businesses that share that same demographic. That's why I started with who do you serve? I will give you an example from my own life. When I lived in Palm Desert, California, I had a gym and wellness center. I put that gym and wellness center on the most exclusive street in Palm Desert called El Paseo. Think Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. El Paseo was that for Palm Desert. I put it behind so that my front door was the back door to the biggest body-conscious boutique on El Paseo, because what would happen, and the owner of that was my client. Now, the owner of that boutique would literally have people crying in her dressing rooms, and she would just march them back over to me. And conversely, I'd have people who were getting in shape, feeling great about themselves. I'd walk them into her boutique. So she was one of my key referral partners. I used her services, she's my services, so it was really easy to cross-refer. Another one of my great referral partners was the local salon. I have found local salons to be probably the best place ever to do this. And what we would do is refer back and forth, but also we'd trade services so that I was very aware of their services over there in the salon, and they knew what I was doing over in my place. So they all came to my gym and wellness center, and our team went over to their salon. The next one was the local esthetician, the local plastic surgeon. In fact, we worked with a plastic surgery institute, and I'll talk more about what we would do over there, but that was a really great back and forth business. The local chiropractor, the local art gallery. Sounds crazy, but we shared the same clients, right? The local art gallery, the local functional medicine doctor, the open MRI center. So I just looked at every single person who shared the same demographic, and we started cross-referring as much as possible. And what worked the best for us was, and healthy, we also had a healthy restaurant, of course, and a yoga studio. But what worked the best for us was using each other's services ourselves, because then you would naturally talk about it, right? So that makes it even better. So we would just trade with each other. Now, one of the cool things that happens when you start to do that is you can actually do events together. So one of the things that we like to do at our wellness center was to have open houses. And we would do that if someone was coming into town who could do a talk. We would do holiday parties there and have like some of the local celebrities come in and sing and perform. We do product testings. But think about the different things that you can do. One of the things I set up at our local plastic surgery institute was we did a whole girls' night out where we had our business there. We had a local jeweler there. We had a makeup artist there, and we had wine tasting. It was just super fun. In fact, it went so well that we started doing those as a regular initiative and doing them for groups. Like the Junior League would come in and do things. So an open house can be really fun, and it's really fun when you bring a couple partners, because now you can start to commingle your audiences, right? Another thing that you can do is just a 1 or even 2-day client retreat. If you have a center that works well for this, this can be great because it's a great way for them to meet your team. If they're coming in from out of state, Um, like you can have someone local if they want to invite a friend from out of state. Now this person can get established as a patient as well. But it's a great way for you, both at the open houses and the one-day client retreats, for your current patients, your current clients, whatever they are for you, to bring a friend and to have them experience some things at your center or clinic. And there's always something to experience. There can be talks, there can be movement activities, there could be IVs, there can be testing, there can be cooking demos. I'm not sure what business you have, but there's always a way to pull things in and do different types of things that make it fun and experiential, where people feel connected. I am the Chief Metabolic Health Officer at a chain of clinics called Lindora, and we recently did a rebranding there. So I was at their grand reopening in Newport Beach. And what I noticed was they had people, this business has been around for 55 years, and they had people that have been around for decades. And this was their community. That is so powerful when you can create that. They won't leave. And they'll bring their friends, right? Another thing that is hugely powerful, I can't stress this one enough, is speaking. Now, I mentioned earlier about having a signature talk. I remember when I first heard about a signature talk, I was like, what is that? I need one of those. And yes, you do. Your signature talk is reverse engineered off of whatever your foundational program is. So I will give you an example from my own world. I'm getting ready to publish my next book. It's called The Metabolism Fix. I have a 90-day metabolism makeover program. My signature talk is on metabolism. Now, depending on the audience, I might change the title. Like I always say, the wrapper might change a little bit. The talk is the same. And the talk always starts with my vulnerable story, which is important after a big promo. And then it has a couple key takeaways with great client stories all throughout it. When you have a signature talk, you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you're asked to speak somewhere. It's the same thing you can use for interviews. It's the same thing you can use in your guide. It makes your life way easier. And again, depending on who you're speaking to, I can do my signature talk for clinicians. I can do it for consumers. I can do it for men. I can do it for women. I can just change the wrapping paper a little bit. When I lived in Palm Desert, I spoke at the pharmacy. I spoke at the country clubs. I spoke at the churches and the temples. I spoke for different charity events. I spoke for associations. Basically, I spoke anywhere people were willing to have me and listen. Because especially now when I mentioned the trust economy, there's nothing more powerful than in person. The important thing with speaking is to make sure that you also have some way for them to continue the conversation, the relationship with you. Now, sometimes that might be making an offer, but quite often it's having a guide. Let's say if you have a physical book, they would give you their name and email address to get the physical book. It's something to continue the conversation. One of the things that we like to do when we're doing a talk is have the ability for a limited amount of people to be able to do some kind of assessment with us, because that makes it really easy for us to do the next step. What I used to do at my gym and wellness centers, I had a really comprehensive body composition assessment that I could do for free, but I would do it for a limited amount of people. That way I would get them over to my place and then I could move them into a program. So that is speaking. Now you're probably thinking, I'd love to have a signature talk. We got you covered. We actually created a GPT for signature talks. So I will make sure that we link up in the show notes for you to be able to get your hands on that GPT to help you create your signature talk. I used to move back and forth a lot between Florida and California because those were the states that I loved because I'm a weather gal. So I learned how to build a business very quickly. One was those referral partners and speaking, but a lot of it also came from the local media, which you might think now is dead, but I really don't find that it's dead yet, especially local. But there's ways to use it. And in fact, even when I moved to Tampa, which is where I live now, we have a nationally syndicated show, but I still would go do the Bloom show. Even it's nationally syndicated, but it's more, it's kind of a local group here of people and some of the local Tampa Bay shows, because it helps. Now, what I use it for and what you can use local media for is get into local magazines, local newspapers, local TV. It's really actually easy. They're looking for you to do this. Bonus points if you're in a market more like Chicago. But then you can take those magazine articles or the newspaper articles, like I was in Palm Springs Life a variety of times, in the newspaper a bunch of times. You can take those and use them in your social media with local hashtags, right? And then you can ping back, because generally a lot of these shows will have their social media too, so it's helpful for you. You'll be seen in those places. Remember, when you're doing media, you want to use that over and over and over again. One of the fastest ways that I've built my practice back and forth is through the bring a friend idea. And basically what I would do is move into a new area and say, hey, if you've got friends who would love, and it was nutrition and fitness services, if you've got someone who would love that, I'll give you a gift card to give them. And if they become a client, I'll give you a gift card for yourself. That was the easiest thing to do because people then felt great about gifting a friend. And then again, if the friend became a client, guess what? They got something too. You always have to check to make sure what's legal in your area, right? But there's usually things that you can do here for this and everybody wins. And you didn't pay for that client. I mean, yes, you did with your time, but think about what an ad actually costs. Now you've got someone who has already sold you to this person. They're coming in, they're not just going to give it to a freeloader, right? They're coming in, they're excited, and they're more likely to become a client. One of the other things that's fun to do in local markets is find the local celebrity or the local influencer. I happen to live next to one of them in Tampa who is on like all the boards, all the galas, all the stuff. When I first moved to Fort Lauderdale, I found the gal who put on all the galas, and she was my client. And of course, I was at all the galas too, meeting all the people, connecting and giving. Whenever they would have a charity auction, I would always give my services, do some kind of cool basket and services so that they would then know about me and hear about me. It's being seen, it's being heard, talked about, meeting the people. It takes time, but this is a fast track to do it. When I would move into a new location, I'd always look at, okay, who are the local newscasters? When I moved into Palm Springs, I had all the local newscasters as clients fairly quickly. Who are the people that really were the movers and shakers in town? And all you have to do is turn to the society pages in the local magazine and you will see them all. There's usually a couple of people that show up over and over and over again. And those are the people that I would always go and reach out to first to have them become a client, gift them something to come in. But those are the first people. Once you're in with them, you're in with everybody. So I'm always looking for the local celebrities, the local influencers that can help me introduce me to everybody around. Now, I talked about the charity events. It is absolutely great if you can go and speak at these charity events, and usually they're looking for speakers. If you can buy a table, fantastic. It's a write-off. If you can have an event for them at your center, like that was what we were doing at the Plastic Surgery Institute. If you can donate anything for their auctions, they're always looking for auction items. So all of those become super great. And then again, oftentimes when you're at these charity events, this is the stuff that then gets into the magazines. You're meeting the influencers. You can see how this all compiles. Right? Use your local social. Find out what the hashtags are in local. One of the things that we teach is how you can relationship sell through the DM. So I'm going to tell you something super important because you do not need a big following on Instagram to have a great business from Instagram. We've got someone who's got 5,000 people, I think, and has built a 7-figure business through selling through DMs, not by having bots spam people. Can I emphasize that? One of the cool things that can happen on Instagram is you start to build your trusted authority. This is one of the key things that we teach. Build your trusted authority. And because this is going to make you stand out, and then periodically you'll talk about being able to work with you. People will DM you, and then you can get them in for a discovery call or an assessment, and then move them into a program. So relationship selling through DMs can be super powerful, super local. Let's talk about some other ways that you can collaborate with your fabulous referral network that you're meeting. Number one, gift card swaps. I talked about how you can do a gift card to a client to give to a friend, but you can also have your referral partners can have gift cards that they can give to clients as well. So you can do gift card swaps. You can do those joint events like I talked about. Those are awesome. They're amazing. Obviously doing referrals. One of the things that we did when I ran my gym and wellness centers, we had a newsletter that was kind of like a local newsletter where we would push this out. Back then we actually didn't do it by email. It actually was written, and it's kind of nice to have it written because it can sit in the offices too, but like a once a month little thing. They're so easy to do, or it can be an email that everyone gets sent out. It can be quarterly. It can be monthly. If I was going to do a quarterly, that could probably be produced and put into people's offices. But this is another great thing that people will sit and read. I mean, something interesting in an office still works. And then, of course, swap those services. right? I hope I gave you some great ideas. What I would recommend is pick 3. Don't pick 1. Like right now, if you're hurting, because I've seen it happen over and over and over again. I remember one of my clients in my mastermind called me freaked out because her traffic had dried up. And I go, well, where were you getting your traffic from? And she goes, I Google SEO. And, that's a whole nother thing that we teach about SEO and AEO and what you need to do to make sure you're staying found in the world of AI. But, she'd relied on one source that she had no control over. So if I were going to do this in a hierarchy, I'd always start with referrals. So again, start with your referral partner network first. Invite some people over. Bring a couple people to lunch. Let them get to know each other too. That's a service, right? So maybe you have 2 lunches or 2 dinners where you bring the groups together, and by then you'll have your 10 people. Even if you start with 5, it's fabulous. Identify a place to speak every month. That is one of the formulas. We have a kind of a get found formula at the Health Business Growth Collective, and it is speaking once a month somewhere, doing some kind of media interview every month. Could be a podcast, could be local media, something. So some speaking every month, those referral partners, and then look at one platform, one channel that you can also focus on the local side of it. And I especially think Instagram probably is the best one for this because the hashtags and then also being able to sell through the DMs. But here is the bottom line on all of this. And I want to remind you too that we'll put that GPT, the how to create a signature talk GPT in the notes to get you going. If you want a practice that grows consistently and gives you real freedom, time and money freedom, you can't rely on one source of patients, especially not ads and not just referrals, especially one referral or social media, because they might shut your social media down. All sorts of weird stuff can happen. You got to have a network. You need visibility in your community. You want to stand out as that trusted authority, those relationships you have, those collaborative relationships, because they're transferring that trust. We talk multiple streams of income in Health Business Growth Collective. You want multiple streams of lead generation too. Different ways people can find you. They can experience you. They can refer to you. Right? And that is what hyperlocal marketing does. It turns you from just another provider into the trusted authority everyone thinks of when they need what you do, right? You want to be that category of 1, but get moving on it, right? Because you're going to build momentum as you do this. The goal isn't to spend more time marketing. It's becoming super strategic on what you are doing, getting known, getting trusted so that this demand is overflowing. Because when you do that, you're not chasing patients anymore. You know what they're doing? They are chasing you. All right. If you have loved this and you know other people who are wanting to have more patient lead flow, maybe frustrated with what's going on, be sure to share this with them and subscribe to our channel because we are focused on getting really great information from all of us who are in the trenches doing just that to you so you can grow and scale your health business and be a transformation of health in the world.